Welcome to the Employment Wednesday podcast with Yvonne Shabangu. Have you heard of the scripture Hosea 4, verse 6? My people perish because of the lack of knowledge. The same applies to your career. When you don't know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, you are likely to make wrong career choices. But worry not. Employment Wednesdays is here for you to offer you all the answers relating to your career and offer you strategies to develop your career. Enjoy. Hi, everyone. You are welcome to another episode of Employment Wednesdays with Yvonne Shabangu. And I come back again with Portia Achimpong. Yo, this name will always be
Chiampo.
Achimpong. It'll always be there. Okay. So yeah, we come back again, and in this episode, it's just a light conversation surrounding what makes a healthy work environment and what makes a good employee. Because I once asked someone on Instagram, Huri, what makes a good employee and a good employer? It was very interesting what people said. So you are going to hear from us, and maybe in the comment section, okay, not maybe, in the comment section, you guys can tell us, what do you think makes a good employee, good employer, and a healthy work environment? So, Portia, you can start because we need Nkuluma. So, what do you think makes a healthy working environment?
I think a healthy working environment for me, from my perspective, is having an environment where the employees and the employer have an open door policy
Okay.
where we could fight today, but tomorrow we're okay. Because
Okay.
you are going to have conflicts,
Sure.
right? It's a given, and just an environment where everybody just gives their best. Your manager is not a micromanager,
Sure.
but gives you the room to work independently, but also comes and critiques. And when it comes from them, that critique, it shouldn't be, it should be, you know, in put in such a manner to make you realize of your mistakes and actually make you want to do better, and you felt like, you led, oh, this person showed me my mistakes, so now I can do better, and actually I can go back to them and say, oh, this is what I did.
Sure.
So when you look at it now, what do you think of it? So that's a positive working environment for me.
Okay. And that's really great. And I think I agree with you, right?
Yeah.
But for me, more than anything, I feel like I've experienced that many times employers like saying there's an open door policy. And then when you actually use the open door policy, they're upset. It's like, how come you don't know this? Like, they tend to be a bit harsh. So I really like what you mentioned to say it's very important that even as a leader or your manager or your supervisor or your superior, as they lead you, teach you, and correct you, they should also do it from a place of love and respect.
True.
Where you know that even tomorrow is a new day. Yes, I made a mistake yesterday, but tomorrow I can always come back and actually voice out my concerns and also be able to show you my progress and give you proper feedback, right? So I definitely agree with that. But I think also many times we look at a healthy work environment from a perspective of employer. But I think employees, which is your colleagues as well, play a part in making the work environment
Big part.
a healthy work environment, right? They play a part too. I'll make an example. You can have a horrible manager, right? And maybe you speak to your manager once a week and once a month, or you still have somebody who you report to, then they report to the manager. So I feel like you can get away with having a harsh manager, but having mean colleagues, you can't get away with it, because now these are people that you work with every single day. These are people that you need to talk
Forced
to.
yeah.
Yes, you're forced to interact. You're forced to share information and ask. So for me, an ideal, or what seems to be a healthy work environment, is having a leader that is patient, that is able to teach, and that also gives grace and also allows me
Grace,
to
yes.
make mistakes. Because I feel like certain things you can learn by being taught and by doing it right from the get-go. But also I feel like there's great ideas that come from mistakes. Sometimes you make a mistake and you actually realize, oh, there's actually a greater way to do it. And it was only through the mistake that you realize that, right? And then I then think that it's important that as colleagues, we're respectful to one another. We are very considerate of each other. And I mean, we don't have to be friends. Like, we don't have to be friends. But also don't disrespect me.
Exactly.
Don't talk to me as if you're falling off a
Belittle me.
tree. Do your job properly, because also another thing, we think bad work environment or unhealthy is literal, but sometimes it's unhealthy because you're in a team where maybe somebody you report to never does their job,
Yo,
and it always fall on you.
nightmare.
It always falls on you, and now you're frustrated, you are heated up, and all of these things, right? And then I think, again, a healthy work environment, like, pay people well, guys.
Hey, in this economy, you better pay people. Because to be honest, an employee that is well paid doesn't have other stresses to think about.
Sure.
They know their rent is paid, their car is paid, they've got food in the house. If they have kids, school fees is paid, whatever. And when they come to work, they focus on just that.
Sure.
Doing their job exceptionally well, Because now if you're thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay, my for my car? My rent is going up. How am I going to cover that? That stress that's gonna, it's gonna filter into, the workspace, and that's something that's no one needs that stress.
Yes. Yeah. So I really think pay people well, pay people what is due to them. I always commend entrepreneurs that say, oh, I'm not gonna hire, I need a PA, but I'm not gonna hire a PA because I don't have enough. And it's important to acknowledge that. Don't hire 20 people with a budget of 10 people. I really think, like, it adds on to the stresses of, I had to leave home and go through traffic, and I have mean colleagues, and then now you don't pay me well, and my manager is also not a nice person. So I really think, for me, a healthy work environment is having colleagues that are respectful, colleagues that are correctable, teachable, and that are also able to share and communicate their needs, and also that just do their job. Because many times, when you don't do your job, it's easy to think it's just about you. But what you don't realize is it does impact the whole team.
It does.
I've had situations whereby, so somebody got sick in a team I was in. Somebody got sick and they went on sick leave, like, for a very long time. And when they left, their files fell on us, and those files were a mess. Every day we were in a fight with our manager to say, no, I'm not cleaning up this mess. So now a person sat on their work, they didn't do it properly for months and months. Now they're not well, and then you take that responsibility. You have to do damage control. And now it creates a very an unhealthy situation.
True,
because now you do your job properly, your files are in order. Now you're spending more time on somebody else's
trying
files.
to fix someone else's mess.
Yes, on somebody else's work. And when they come back from leave, they get their files, they clean up, they take them back. But you've done the work. And when they close off those files as resolved, as done, it goes to them. It goes to their incentive. It doesn't look like you did it, even though you assisted. So I really think it's really good to have colleagues that are very considerate. And then I think for me also, what makes a good work environment, guys, have a coffee station.
With free coffee.
Yes,
and
like
free juice.
yes,
and free stuff.
Just give us free things, like free, and not just but quality. Like, don't quality coffee, quality freebies.
Thank you.
Useful freebies.
Thank you.
Like, it's winter now. We're going into winter. Send your employees a winter care package with mugs and cookies.
It's
I feel like
things.
yeah, it's really the little things, So I think that's my take. Work environment is good if the leaders lead and teach well, the colleagues are also doing their part, and you're being paid well, and I think that's what I can think of from the top of my head. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. I think also, just to add on with managers and stuff, I think something that my manager said when she was talking to us, and said, if you ever decide to go into a management role, make sure you're not going into a management role for selfish reasons.
Sure.
Make sure if you want to go into a management role, it's because you literally want to be a leader. You want to make things, you want to make sure that business operations run smoothly, but also you'll be responsible for a lot of people. You want to make sure that you're trying to make these people's lives as easy as possible.
Sure.
Right. So I think as well, like, to companies out there. Can you just, before making someone a manager, vet them, and
Yes.
because sometimes you'd want to be a manager, but you don't have leadership qualities.
Sure, you know yourself.
And you get there and yeah.
It just goes south.
Yeah.
I always make a joke. I love children. I love children. But I feel like my fuse is short. So, like, I really need to hang with, like, children that, like, maybe understand, don't touch that. Because if I'm chilling with a kid that won't understand that, I may end up losing it, So I think it's very important to know yourself, to say, okay, yes, maybe I feel like I'm a good leader, but I'm not patient with people. And I think that's why some companies have a policy where, yes, managers they can be mean and stuff. Then they have a senior supervisor. Then you don't get to interact with that other manager. Then the supervisor gets all the steam, right? And then obviously you get to interact with that supervisor. But you're definitely right. They really need to be
because
vetted.
I think the result, I mean, if you have a good manager and a good leader in that department, the results that are going to come out of that department are going to support business operations.
Sure.
Are going to make sure that the business is operating efficiently and everything is just going to be okay. But if you have a department, people are depressed. People don't want to come to work. The manager is Cruella or whoever. The business operations that are going to come out of that department are not going to be okay.
True. They're not
the
going to be
results
great.
are not going to be, So I think companies should make sure that, in order for overall efficiency, make sure that the managers are
vetted.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think another thing for me that makes a healthy work environment is a work environment that promotes your personal growth. Thank you. It is important that we have jobs. But dude, I'm not going to do the same job 10 years. I feel like even if I want to do that, I need to have a manager that's going to mentor me and tell me that, Yvonne, you've learned enough. Apply for better positions. Go to school. There are new opportunities. You get what I mean?
That is, yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like, because now many of us that are working, like in the corporate spaces, in the workspace, it's young people. So we don't think of certain things. So I feel like your work environment must be a pioneer of your growth.
Catalyst, yes.
Yes. It has to be a catalyst of your growth. True. It needs to sort of nudge you, push you in a direction where you hunger for growth. There's something that TD Jake says. He says, many people are not successful not because they're incapable. He says it's because you don't have appetite for growth. I feel like also your work environment does induce your appetite for growth.
True.
Your work environment can make you be in a position where you're just like, they paid me, I'm just going home. But I feel like that's unhealthy. That's unhealthy. And I think even with generally companies, big companies, small companies, I think also they need to have systems in place that also manage how long a person stays in a role. Not to say people must be moved unwillingly, but I think it is important that people grow in whatever they do, because also when you stay, apparently there's this tissue or cell in your brain, right? When you keep on doing hard things, it grows, like it gives you more appetite.
Oh, wow.
But when you don't do the hard things, you sort of become an average person. That's how some people end up becoming rusty. A person used to be, somebody graduated cum laude, and they end up seeming like they're not as intelligent anymore. It's because they're not exercising that muscle. So I feel like if you're in a work environment that is healthy, it needs to sort of force you to push further. You see that question that they say, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? They need to help you navigate that. So you're a junior. You know how in law firms, you're a junior associate for 3 years? Not that it's automatic, but they sort of give you an idea. You're going to be associate for 3-4 years. Then you make senior for another 3 years. If you're a hard worker, you're great. 2 years, you move, you make partner. Like, I feel like corporate companies or companies in general need to make room for that type of growth, because like I said, some people, we're young, we're naive. We're just thinking, I just want a salary. We're not thinking about, like you said, I love what you said in another episode where you said, I got bored, so I had to be curious. So some companies don't care for you. They won't say, let's pay for your courses, let's do this. They'll be like, no, just stay there.
Ooh.
Yeah,
true. They'll be like, this is, stay in that role.
Yes, they just put you in a corner. You stay in a role 15 years. They've been paying you almost the same salary. you haven't grown as a person. Like you're just, so I think that's the most unhealthy thing ever, keeping a person in a box where they can't evolve, you know?
That's not on. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really think companies, or not even just companies, employers, employees as well. Now, as a person, even us as colleagues, let's sort of help each other pioneer our careers in a direction of growth. You know, even your personal growth. I feel like certain things like leadership skills, right? Yes, you can learn your leadership skills on a job that is a leader role and stuff. But I feel like even your work environment, if like your colleagues sort of note that you're good at something. Like I remember in articles, I'm great at presentations. They knew that that's for Yvonne. You know, they encourage me. There's a workshop that the law firm is doing. There's a radio thing that is happening. I was the girl. That was them like sort of leading me to these are your strengths. Let's polish them up. Let's encourage you,
Yeah.
right? But it's one thing working in an environment where they can say, Hore, maybe you're great at speaking, you articulate yourself well, but in meetings they just keep you at the back. You know, I was so privileged to have one of the best principals ever. He will take me to a meeting and he will just say, so yeah, if I drafted this article, tell everybody else more about it.
Wow. He just threw you in the deep end.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes he will get there and they'll be like, oh, this is a great article. He won't say it's mine. He will be like, here's the author. You have questions. Here's the girl.
Wow.
You know, so I feel like it's important being in workspaces that sort of enhance your growth and sort of help you see beyond.
And also see what other things you can do.
Yes.
You know, you tap into your full potential.
Sure.
It's very, very important.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, like I think it's very important to, I really pray that many people have those type of employers that sort of push them. The other day I was so happy, like my former director sent me a message, like I think it was the first episode. He said to me, this is so beautiful. I really hope that you grow in it and it takes you beyond greatest because you were born for this.
Yes.
You know, and this is a person that I don't work for anymore, but he's seen me. He's made me go on radio, like on things that I didn't ask for, but he saw how I loved speaking. He saw how I loved conversing. And nobody asked him to do that, but he noted like, oh, okay, guys, don't worry. Presentation, Yvonne will do it. You know, and sometimes I'm just like, but I don't know this topic. No, it's fine. You can go read up on it. You know, so I really think for me that's an ideal healthy work environment.
It is very healthy as well. That's
You
very
know,
healthy.
and I think you can position yourself. Yes, obviously we can't take all the bad, and you still have a responsibility to do the work. We can't now expect everybody to be doing the stuff but us. You know, so you also position yourself. Your employer must allow you to explore, but also you must put a step forward.
True. Put your hand up, you know, and I think a message to like employees or youngsters out there, graduates, start being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Sure.
Start being comfortable being uncomfortable. Go out there, research, do this course, do that course. Don't say, oh, I don't know this. Go and find out.
Yes.
You know, put yourself, like for me as well, I always say that every year I have to do something, I have to study something.
Sure.
Because I don't want to be, you know, not doing anything. Like I want to be in it. I want to find out more, you know, because people that are at the top got there because they pushed themselves.
Sure.
You know, and if you want to see yourself at that level, you must put in the work.
No, yeah, that's very true. So yeah, basically I feel like a great work environment is having an employer that is able to give you opportunities of growth. And employers must not gatekeep us, guys. They must let us go. Like, don't make people feel bad for leaving. Like, let me fly high.
Exactly. And even if I leave, I'm not your enemy.
Yes, yes. Like,
you know?
allow me to.
Exactly.
Allow me to, you know. And yeah, I think so. Opportunities of growth. A work environment where people actually everybody does their job. You know, so it doesn't fall on other people.
Good management.
Yes, great management. It's very important to have good management. What else am I missing? Give us freebies.
Yeah,
Yes.
we like freebies.
Yes, give us good quality freebies.
Yeah.
Give us coffee. Pay for our studies, guys. Like pay for our studies, you know, and pay us well. Yeah, I think that's what really makes a good employer. And before we even round up, what makes a good employee?
Do your job. Do your job, be diligent, be hardworking, be efficient, do it well. You know, when there's in your department, when they talk about the top flyers, you know, people who work really hard, your name needs to be on that list. You know,
Sure.
no, there's no discussion about that. You know, so be diligent, do your work, and the rest will follow.
Yeah, I also definitely agree. Be diligent, do your work, and yeah, just push yourself. You know, like, and don't, I always say this, don't have a career ego, man. Leave your ego at home.
Thank you.
Leave your ego at home.
Leave it at
Don't
home.
think
No.
I've got a PhD. Nobody can tell me anything, honey.
I can tell you a lot.
Listen.
You
You know.
know.
So don't be very egocentric. Be open to learning
Humble.
and be humble. Familiarize yourself with the systems of the workplace. Don't be too rigid. You know, there are people that don't want to learn. They will tell you how they used to do things at their previous job, at their previous
Doesn't
role.
work like that.
Get to a place, navigate, learn, and also make it better for other people who come in. You know? And yeah, guys, be an honest employee. Don't lie.
Be ethical.
Yes, be ethical. Don't say take
Yeah.
sick leave when you're not sick.
Exactly.
Don't abscond from work. Don't be soothing to work with. You know, don't make somebody else's life miserable. Yes, mistakes are going to happen. Yes, there's going to be conflicts and stuff. But don't be that person when they're trying to move you around. Everybody's like, not me, because you're horrible to work with. You're not great at anything. You're sloppy with your job.
Yep.
Like, you know what, ne? Rather people know that, okay, that one, maybe she arrives to meetings late, but her presentation,
When she gets
stellar.
there. Yes.
You know, her communication, her articulation. Always have a strong point and polish it up and let it pop. That's what I think. Yeah, if you guys have any inputs on what makes a good work environment, what makes a great employer or a great employee, do share in the comment section and also share your experiences. What do you think has helped you evolve to become a greater employer or a better employer or a better employee or a better employee? So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I hope you learned from something. You learned something from it. Happy Employment Wednesdays. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. See you in the next episode.